It was the late 80s and early 90s, and I was about 6 to 7 years old. I'm at home with my sister, who was 14 to 15 years old at the time. We grew up in a small town in Texas where everyone knows each other. We were alone at home that evening, and my parents often left me in the care of my sister. We've always gotten along, despite the age difference. Anyway, it was about 8 p.m. in winter. It's damn cold in the deserts, so it was dark, and we were sitting in the common room because there was a TV. We watched 60 Minutes, or 48 Hours, or Hard Copy, or something like that. Those are long newscasts on CBS that detail major crimes, human trafficking, murders, kidnappings, and the like. It was a typical story. A quiet neighborhood guy flew into a rage and broke into his neighbor's house, mutilated them, and abducted their little daughter. The fact is that in the common room of our house, the door leading to the backyard was a large glass door in the wall with floor-to-ceiling windows.
There was nothing but darkness behind it. Unless you turned on the taillight, we didn't do that. The entrance door is located in another part of the room, next to a small vestibule. It's an ordinary door, so you can't see what's behind it, and it's closed from the outside by a glass storm door.
About 45 minutes into the show, they're talking about the ongoing search for this crazy guy, and bam, 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 the front door slams like crazy. We jump up and scream like crazy. Deathly silence ensues. The only lights in the house are in the kitchen, which is down the hall, and on the TV. We're starting to think that something on the porch. We had planters and a rocking chair there just hit the door. It was West Texas, where the winds are blowing crazy. A minute or two passes, and we hug each other and come to our senses after the adrenaline rush. Just as we are about to announce that everything is fine, we hear the storm door slam shut from outside our front door. Someone had to open this door to knock like that. We both froze in the middle of the room on the floor. My sister crawls over to the TV and turns it off with a loud boom. Now we were alone in the room, dimly lit by the light from the kitchen. I don't remember how much time passed, but we kept making eye contact, and then we looked at the front door. I turned to look at the back wall with windows and a glass door. We hear the handle of the back door turn, which was locked but not bolted. It rattles slightly, as if someone is carefully trying to turn it. We're both silent, just holding our breath. Then bam, 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 loud as hell, someone tries to break down the door. The entire wall with windows vibrates violently, and I see my reflection blurring with every jerk. My sister screams like a knife. I'm still lying on the floor, thunderstruck. She drags me into her bedroom, slams the door, throws the mattress and everything she can in front of it. She hadn't forgotten about the phone, one of those incredibly heavy portable ones with a metal antenna. In her panic, she couldn't remember the sheriff's number. She just pressed redial. It was one of her friends. She panted and said someone was trying to break in. I'm curled up on the floor and I can't stop shaking. We don't hear anything else until we see the headlights of my sister's friend and her parents' car pull up to the house. We never found out who was at the door or why. There were no signs, just a couple of scratches. Nothing like this has happened to us since, but after that night, we never forget to lock the door. It's very similar to what happened to me a few months ago. I'm a girl, and I live in a pretty big old house with 5 guys from the Navy. My room is located separately in the annex to the garage. One night I'm sleeping there, and I'm dreaming as I guess that I hear a loud crash. I'm slowly starting to wake up, but I don't feel at ease. I open my eyes and look around, but the noise continues. The door is about a meter from the foot of my bed, and the door handle is rattling like crazy. It feels like someone is banging on it, but I can't tell if they're knocking on the door or just trying to open it. At that moment, I realize that I really am not dreaming, and this is not a dream. Even my dog, who never wakes up at night, got up and looked at the door. I used to forget to lock the door a lot because we live in a pretty quiet neighborhood, but fortunately, about a week before that, I started bolting it. Probably because of what I read on Reddit. I don't remember exactly. I'm terrified. I always hoped that I would be one of those people who handles situations like this better, but I'm not like that. The door is still rattling, and I see that the motion sensor is on and the light is entering the room through the closet window. All my blinds are closed. I am on the verge of tears. I cover my head with a blanket and wait for death. There's nothing in my room that I can protect myself with except a flashlight, which I'm holding onto tightly. I'm paralyzed by fear and just sit there, trying not to make any noise, curled up and holding a metal flashlight in my hands. After a minute, the noise subsides and I can finally move. I have a weird closet with a window at the top and a big bench, so I crawl in there, climb on the bench, and stick my head out. After a few seconds, the motion sensor goes off. I missed everything that was happening. I run back to my bed and start thinking logically. I live with 5 guys. They often invite guests late at night after they go somewhere downtown. I look at the clock. It's 2:30. Around this time, they return home from bars that are closing. Maybe someone was very drunk and just behaved stupidly ... right. That's why I write to all my roommates, trying not to make a big deal out of it and not look stupid. Hey, are you guys awake? Do you have someone there? Someone just tried to come in my door. I think someone got drunk or something ... It's creepy. Less than 2 minutes later, I hear the back door of the main house open. I hear whistling and banging, and my roommates are running around the backyard with baseball bats. Fortunately, one of them is a light sleeper. He woke up and woke up the other guy. I open the door, run into the house with the dog, and don't go to bed that night anymore. For the next couple of hours, my roommates patrolled the house and watched the windows. We didn't see anyone, but they found a pack of cigarettes and a bag of Hardy candies or something in our backyard. Most likely, someone was just trying to rob us, and since there were 6 cars parked in the driveway, they decided to go to the garage, where they probably thought no one was there, rather than to the house, where they could be killed. However, at that time, as far as I knew, all my roommates had already been killed, and I was the last one. At least that's what I thought at the time. Anyway, it's definitely not the scariest story in this thread, but I definitely couldn't sleep after it. However, at that time, as far as I knew, all my roommates had already been killed, and I was the last one. At least that's what I thought at the time. Anyway, it's definitely not the scariest story in this thread, but I definitely couldn't sleep after it. So, back to the story. I'm all alone in the bathroom, about to take a shower. I throw a change of clothes on the right side of the sink so that I can reach it without leaving the stall. After putting my things down, I accidentally look in the mirror and see in the distance something almost shimmering inside the shower stall. Looking closer, I notice that it is slowly approaching, as if jumping from the farthest layer to the next, closer one. I'm a little out of my mind, but I don't think much of it, except that I just took a huge dose of Red Bull, Adderall, and caffeine, but it's starting to change faster. As I get closer, I begin to make out details, but nothing bright or eye-catching, just a dark mass that looks like it's covered with hair. At that moment, I start to get very nervous because this thing is approaching in the mirror and I feel rooted to the spot. When I get to the 4th layer, I see this creature as close as I can, and I regret it every minute. It wasn't hair, but some kind of long flowing veil, through which one could partially see the body, but below the waist it was completely black, and I can't describe the face. It was clearly a human being, but at the same time it seemed so far away. He had eyes, black but clearly glowing in some way. I only saw him for a second at most, but it's forever etched in my memory. Then the lights went out and I heard the door slam. It was pitch dark in the bathroom, so I couldn't see the thing anymore. I go to open the door, but it won't budge, and then the pungent smell of blood comes from nowhere, and that's all I remember. Later, I woke up in the hospital. According to my roommate, he was just going to the bathroom when it happened. He found me in the shower. My shirt was covered in blood due to severe nosebleeds. He tried to ask me what happened, and according to him, I could only answer, It saw me and began to panic. He called an ambulance and I was taken to the hospital. I must have been on edge all this time, so they gave me a sedative to come to my senses. I also arrive at about the same time as my parents, who, of course, are very worried. I ask them what happened, and according to the doctors, they think I had a seizure, but they did a CT scan shortly after I agreed to it, and they found no signs of a seizure, not to mention that epilepsy is not inherited at all. And since in the past and since then, I've taken Adderall countless times, and I've never had such side effects, no hallucinations, no possible seizures. I still can't bring myself to look in the mirror for more than a minute. And if I get stuck in a room with a mirror for a long time, I'll just snap. Because of this, I have been seeing a therapist for 3 years now and talking to countless religious leaders who, in addition to common phrases like in times like these, you should turn to God... do not recognize such manifestations as demonic or evil, and the strangest thing is that before this incident, no one complained about the activity in these dormitories, and after my departure, there was nothing like this. It was just one Kaz. Thanks for watching.